Hello, everybody. How are you guys doing? So you can tell I haven't actually duplicated. I've got a friend with me. Some of you met Daniel. He's done the Live at 5 for us a couple different times. And we always have fun talking about dreams. So we figured we were going to do something a little bit different today. We're going to go through the dreams together. So we're going to be doing some live dream interpretation as you guys are getting on. Go ahead and put in the comments where you're coming in from. Would love just to give a couple shout outs, say hi to people. And then here in just a couple minutes, we're going to start with some dream interpretation. While everybody is getting on, I do want to mention some of you have already seen this. If you have not seen it, take a look at our giveaway that's going on, our new book, Discerning and Responding to Prophecies. We've got the pre-release. We're actually going to be shipping these this coming Monday. So we're giving away up to 10 copies of this book. All the information is on our socials in different places. If you haven't seen that, we did a video about it on Monday. It has all the information. You can find that on the comments there on that video, on our Facebook, on our Instagram. You'll be able to find all the information. But would love if you guys could help us get the word out about this book. 20 some years of prophetic ministry, and I'm constantly getting asked about prophecies and how do I recognize if this was actually a word from the Lord. I had a friend of mine when I was first kind of getting into this, that he had this prophetic word that somebody had given him, and it was the dream of his heart. He was going to have a house. He was going to have a white picket fence. He was going to have a wife. He was going to have 2 kids, and they were playing out in the yard. It was everything he ever wanted. And his life, he didn't end up with that in his life, and he didn't understand it. And what he didn't realize is that the prophetic word actually wasn't from the Lord. It was the prophet that was prophetic person that was actually reading what was in his soul. And there was potential there. I think that, I don't know about the white picket fence and the wife and all of that, but obviously the Lord does want good things for him. But there was a lot of choices that he needed to make to be able to move in that direction and be the type of person that would be able to see the fulfillment of those things. And he had not gone through that work. He had not done that. And so he didn't see that fulfillment, but he was angry at God because of this prophetic word. I could tell you story after story after story of people that I've met that either they got a good prophetic word, didn't understand how to respond to it, or somebody read their soul and they didn't know what to do with it, or they were prophesying out of their own soul, hearing their own soul instead of the Lord. And in this book, I go through how to recognize if a prophetic word is actually from God. And then once we've got that, what do you do with it? How do you respond to it? So I think it's going to be really helpful. Daniel actually wrote one of the endorsements for it.
The chapter on soulish prophecy alone is actually worth the price, because it's not a conversation that people have. And it's not even a possibility that people actually like to entertain, because we were talking about this earlier on today. When something hits the heartstrings, you don't question whether it's God or not. And you don't measure whether this is actually his heart or just your own desires resonating with what the person's picking up. So it's actually a really, really, it's simple, it's clear, but it's actually super deep, and there's an impartation on it.
Nice.
So it's very helpful.
Awesome. So make sure that you look, you'll be able to find that information, and we'll, obviously you'll be hearing more about that. It's going live on Monday if you're interested in getting a copy yourself. So let's say hi to some people. We've got Charleston, South Carolina. We have Fernie. That was Daniel pointing at Fernie saying hi from Arlington. We were just talking to Fernie earlier. We've got Fresno, California. Welcome. We got Norway, Kentucky, Southern Illinois. Somebody else from Illinois, California. Wonderful. Well, welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad you guys are coming in. David from Canada. Good to, well, I'm not hearing you, but good to see you. I was going to say, good to hear from you. But man, it's been a while. We need to catch up at some point in time. I would love to do that. We got Eastern Washington, Iowa, Florida, New Jersey. All right. Well, let's jump into a dream. And I'll just grab the first dream that I see that's posted in here. If you guys are putting in dreams, just remember we're not going to be looking at every comment in order. So once we finish up a dream, we're just going to click down to the bottom, the latest comment, and we will find one of the latest dreams that's there. So please don't feel bad about putting in your dream more than once. If you'll catch us at the right time, then it's likely that we'll be able to see it, because we know we're not going to be able to get to all the dreams, but we'll see how many of them we can get to. So Andrea's dream, there's a king with a crown walking around outside of house. I'm running around inside of house, locking doors. He says, get that book. Others start to try to break in. Next, I'm in the kitchen, look up to the chandelier and see a cowboy boot on top of cabinet. Okay. Well, this is an interesting dream. Let's see. So, I mean, I've got a question that I think is going to clarify. I think I've got enough to give you an interpretation, but I'll tell you the question and how that would clarify. Is the house? Was it your house, or was it just a house that you happen to be in? Because that's going to clarify a little bit. I'm going to interpret it as if it was a house you just happened to be in. But the application is going to change a little bit, but the interpretation is not going to change a little that very much. So a king with a crown, it sounds like the Lord, outside of the house, but people active inside of the house. So the kingship of Jesus, that is an external thing, but hasn't been internalized, recognizing that, and also recognizing that the enemy has been trying to break in. So basically, because the enemy has been trying to break in, there's been some self-protection mechanisms that have actually kept the Lord out. And it's not just recognizing those things. Then in the kitchen, looking up to the chandelier. So kitchen talks about the place where food is prepared. So things that you've been learning, things that you've been receiving, ingesting, and who you are. Looking up to the chandelier, you're trying to get revelation. But the difference between a chandelier and the sun is one is manufactured light, where one is natural light. So there's light there's enlightenment there, but it's actually, it's been brought in. It's actually been created by someone. So it's either revelation that someone else has received, is turned on, or someone else has created. It doesn't seem to be fake light. So I'm not going to say that it's not actually revelation. But there's something that somebody else has made. And then seeing a cowboy boot on top of the cabinet. Cowboy boot. That can mean different things to different people. So I'm curious for you, what a cowboy boot might mean. Is that something that you would normally wear? Is there something that's there? I will give you a picture that would fit this. I'm not saying it's exactly this, but one of the things, if you listen to country and Western music, there is this concept of God that gets communicated, but it's very much cultural, and it's all about what somebody else has experienced, but it's actually not letting Jesus be king. It's much more of a cultural Christianity. Not all country music, but country music in general. It gives this picture. The king's still outside of the house, and he's got a crown on, but he hasn't been allowed in the house, and he's not actually affecting. It's more of a cultural thing that's going on. So I would suggest maybe taking a look at some of those things that you've been learning. What's been feeding your soul? So it may not necessarily be that you're studying something, but what's been feeding your soul, the kitchen? And is there something there that is the form of religion, or maybe somebody else's religion, and it's actually causing you not to have the full experience of what the Lord intends for you? So anything you would add? Pieces?
It's interesting when it says get that book. That there's something that's been written on your heart. There's some things that you have held true to you that the Lord's been trying to get to. And part of that protection mechanism is that it feels like these are things that you believe about yourself, things that you have kept really close to the chest, that the Lord is trying to get to. So he's really trying to get to the things that are written on your heart so that he can actually replace them.
Yeah, that's good. That's fun. Thanks for sharing that. Appreciate that. Okay, let's see. Alinga was caring for someone's baby, Caucasian, who grew up in front of me in moments to about 10 years old and was then African American. I was shocked, but prepared as I had clothes for him. All right, you want to go on that one, or you want me to go on that one?
This is an interesting one because it's something that you've been caring for, that you expected to look one way, but actually had transformed in the midst of maturing. This gifting that you've been given in your life, you expected it to look this way and head in this direction, but as it's grown and matured, it seems to have transformed into a direction that took you by surprise, but you actually have the ability, you have the preparation to utilize it and steward it. That's why you have the clothes for it.
Yeah, that's really good. So this one caught my attention. So Mel, I dreamed I was pulling pythons out of my mouth. It was about 3, but very long. So about 3 pythons. You've made that plural. So about 3 pythons, very long. They were red and skinless, without skin. 3 other ones were waiting around where I was sitting in the living room before they can leave. All right. So basically, Python, there's a quote unquote Python spirit. Pythos actually is a better word for it, but it will often represent a spirit of divination. This is a false prophetic gift where a trying to look to divine information about the future. And it seems like there's 3 things that came from a spirit of divination. I'm not saying that you have a spirit of divination, but these could be messages, maybe prophetic words, quote unquote, that you've heard, that you've repeated, that you've held on to, you've ingested them. And you're actually starting to realize that they're unhelpful and you're trying to get them out of you. You're trying to get them out of your system. 3 specific things. And I don't know if that's 3 prophetic words or 3 specific prophetic people that you've listened to that were actually operating out of a spirit of divination rather than a true prophetic spirit. And they were red and they were skinless. So red, to the positive, red can be a lot of good things. It can talk about redemption, the blood of Jesus. Can talk about wisdom because the blood of Jesus is wisdom, the wisdom of God. But to the negative, it can actually talk about anger or war. I'm seeing red. And that comes out of this idea. When somebody gets really angry, they can get violent and cause blood to come. So that goes across every culture. So that's not just a cultural idea, but this idea of red being angry. So the spirit of divination has actually caused the fruit of anger in people's lives, and you're recognizing this, and skinless, that they're I'm trying to think what to do with the skinless piece, because my first thought is
skinless, exposed and vulnerable. Like the strength that they present themselves with is not actually the strength that they possess. Something that has no skin is really easy to take apart.
Yeah, so it's been exposed now, but the reality is the environment that you're in, there's still more that you have to be careful of. So be aware of that. The process that you've been going through and removing that influence out of you, keep going, finish that process, go completely through that process. It's a really good thing, and ask the Lord to protect you from anything else that's in the environment. And actually, I would ask the Lord if there's the possibility of another environment that you should go to. That's not in your dream, because there's nothing in your dream about you looking to move in another environment or wanting to go to another environment. But I would just ask the Lord that question, because dreams, they don't tell us everything that the Lord is saying. They say something that the Lord is saying, but it's part of a larger conversation. So use that to begin this conversation. Start asking him, what is your response now that you've seen that, now that you know that? So again, thanks for sharing that. All right. So here's a comment from that dreamer. Around that time, I was praying God to lead me to the right church. Yeah. So probably the environment that you'd come out of, that you were needing to get some things out of your system from that environment. So that actually ties in with that. Where's the place that the Lord wants you to be, and how do you protect yourself from that happening again? Very good. Okay. Robert Milligan. I had a boat with no trailer. I put in the lake, big waves came, and I was able to navigate once I got the boat motor started. You want to go on that one? Or you want me to?
You touch this one. I'm fascinated by the no trailer piece.
Yeah. So the idea of having a boat, I mean, it's really hard to transport a boat across the land without a trailer, right?
Oh, now I got the trailers.
So you've got something that operates in the spirit, and you've had to navigate in places where there hasn't been the spiritual environment that would carry what it is that the Lord has given you. But once you get into that spiritual environment, it's not that everything's going to be easy. There's actually going to be some disturbances that you're going to have to overcome, the waves that are coming. But the only way you're going to be able to do that is if the power of God comes onto this gift that you carry inherently in who you are. So yeah, that's a great dream. Okay. Let's see. LM. You want to do this one?
My husband dreamt he was in a small boat with two unknown men. They found and pulled bundles of money that was wrapped in 1,500 bundles out of the water. One of the things that's a little difficult sometimes when it's not your dream is trying to get revelation from somebody, not from the person that's not the source, but there is a spirit to spirit connection that happens with dream interpretation, that when there's this additional piece in there, it makes it a little bit difficult. So the small boat, once again, this is something that is moving him into the things of the spirit. So he's in a boat, so he's on the things of the spirit with two unknown men. Now, unknown can represent divine messengers, divine assistants, so there is this divine messenger, these divine assistants in the middle of where he's found himself. They found and pulled together money that was wrapped in 1,500 bottles out of the water. Now, I wouldn't necessarily take the number 1,500 and make that the emphasis. I would say that in the midst of the season that your husband's in, there's divine assistance that's been released that's actually going to result in favor that comes into his life. The money is coming out of the water. It's not damaged. So there's something that the Lord is releasing to your husband in the area of favor. And it feels like even in the area of provision, but it's not necessarily just provision. There's a grace for favor that is coming from divine assistance for your husband in this season. Yeah,
it's interesting. The 15, I've never used this in a dream interpretation. I've heard John Paul mention that he thought of 15 often as divine mercy. Okay. Which really actually fits with this dream, though I've not actually used that in a dream interpretation.
Yeah,
because it doesn't always fit.
Yeah, but it actually fits the dream here.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Thanks for sharing that. So is it Micah or Micah? You've shared this a couple times. So I'm going to say Micah. An Iranian doctor was holding a cat and knocks on the back door of the house I was at. He said, "These are for you." He had 2 gold plaques. One is for the 500-word essay you won. The other for being a servant. All right. So Iranian doctor, I can't quite tell. The picture I have is small. I don't know if you have Iranian background that is in your inheritance, or if there's something else that's there. If this is just talking about something that's different from you. So I'm not quite sure what to do with the Iranian piece. The 2 gold plaques like that seems very straightforward. So let me go there, and then I'll see maybe you got something on the Iranian doctor piece. Mm-hmm. So the 2 gold plaques. So gold, purity, something that's been purified, something that's good, but they're words. They're actually recognizing something. So they're There are rewards for something that you've done. Two different things, the essay and for being a servant, that you've actually released something that carried the essence of the Lord, that the Lord is recognizing, and your heart of a servant is important, and the Lord is recognizing that. So you're actually being given the recognition from heaven for the words that you've spoken and for the heart of a servant that you carry.
Mm. And it's a past tense, because the back door,
Yes.
right? It's not something coming in the future. It's something coming in from your history. The only thing that I can think of with the Iranian doctor and the cat is that a doctor carries themselves. It's more about the manner in which this doctor's come to the door. So not with great fanfare. It's something that has been more hidden. Like the doctor is probably, it feels like that this is more of something that was done in secret is being rewarded in open. So the doctor is normally, confidentiality, discretion. A cat can remain an independent spirit, not going there with this one. But the cat is more something that it takes the cat piece I'm going to throw over there because I can't get that. But the doctor thing is more about confidentiality and something that was done in secret being rewarded in open.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Thanks for sharing that, Micah.
That was cool. It was, she said down the bottom.
Oh,
she had that dream 25 years ago.
25 years ago.
Okay.
That's cool. That's a lot of fun. David. So David, my family is visiting Germany, must get home to Canada. I have to lug all of our bags to the airport, but keep forgetting things and have to double back. My wife and kids are constantly lagging behind. So basically, you've been doing something in a different environment than your home, something that is, Germany versus Canada. I mean, Canada, where you grew up, it's your home. I know that in the natural about you. Obviously, you're saying get home to Canada, so I could assume that as well. But that there's something there. But Germany is something different. It's a different environment. And I don't know if you have some specific words about Germany, if there's something more specific than the fact that it's a different environment than where you're at. But even if you just leave that a little bit more vague, you've been in a foreign place, you've been in a place that's not your home, and you're trying to figure out, how do I get back? How do I get back to that place of home, that sense of home that I once had? And we've got all of this stuff that we've gotten in this journey. We've got all of this stuff that we need to take care of, and it's making it difficult for me to figure out how to get back. As I keep on forgetting things. Well, what about this? And what about this? So many things that I've got to take care of. So many things that I've got to figure out how to navigate. And then how do I keep my family all together? How do I go back to this place of being at home and still hold on to the family that I have now? I think, and there's soul dreams that are good soul dreams and soul dreams that are negative. I don't know that this is a negative. I think this is good. I think it's just revealing something that is going on. It's more of a self-conditioned dream would be a better way of saying it, which I know you're going to know the context of that. But it's just revealing something that's going on in that sense of trying to get back to that sense of home that you had in a previous season, and trying to figure out how to navigate all the stuff that you've got, all the responsibilities that you have and your family, and bring them along into that place of home that you once had. So yeah, thanks for sharing that, David. Okay, let's see. Isa, you want to do this one?
You're giving me all the ones that somebody else dreamt, so it's really hard for me to pick up. But so my sister dreamt that I was 8 weeks pregnant with a baby boy. Next scene, my cousin named David had a ring and was going to propose to me. She said it wasn't weird to her in the dream. So your sister is in observation mode. Nothing that she's doing is engaging with the dream. So I would say that, Isa, you are actually the subject of the dream. You're the focus. So you are pregnant with new beginnings, and there's something that's coming out, baby boy. There's something that the Lord is going to birth in you that actually has some strength attached to it. And that's what connects to me for the David. My cousin named David came and put a ring and was going to propose to me. There's something in the covenantal understanding of what you're coming into in this season. Like the gift is coming with a promise to some degree.
Yeah.
Like David is coming. I think of David in terms of that, David would represent more of the heart of David, the heart of the Lord.
Yeah.
The heart of the Lord is coming to you specifically to bring you into this this season of commitment, deeper commitment, that is connected to what he's actually given you. That's why it wasn't weird in the dream, because David wasn't David.
Mhm.
David is the Lord coming to you. And while this is not in the dream, my sense is that there is some revelation connected to Jesus's bridegroom affection towards you that is actually going to be connected to what he's birthing in you.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, I wonder, Isa, if you have a worship gift, a worship leading gift that is about ready to come out and require a commitment, that does all this, the intimacy, and that whole piece that, so I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure on that one. It feels like I'm not quite sure if it's curiosity or if it's a word of knowledge. So I don't know. You would know, and you'd be able to if that lands, great. But either way, he nailed that interpretation. So let's see. I'm not even going to try to say that because I'm afraid I'm going to say it wrong. But you can see her name on the screen, so I apologize. So I was at a church where a woman was praying for people. She begins to throw tennis balls at them. They all catch one ball, but I catch 2 tennis balls. She was stunned. I asked her the church's name. It's Ephesus. Okay. So
both of us
we're pulling up the Bible immediately because okay, let's take a look at Revelation.
That's literally where I'm trying to scroll right now.
Chapter 3.
Chapter 2.
Revelation 2.
2:1.
Yeah. So 2, the angel of the church of Ephesus. We're going to read this. The words of him who holds the 7 stars in his right hand, who walks among the 7 golden lampstands. I know your works, your toil, your patient endurance, and how you cannot bear with those who are evil, but have tested those who call themselves apostles and are not, and found them to be false. I know you are enduring patiently and bearing up for my name's sake, and you have not grown weary. But I have this against you, that you have abandoned the love you had at first. Remember, therefore, from where you've fallen, repent and do the works you did at first. If not, I will come to you and remove your lampstand from its place, unless you repent. Yet this you have, you hate the works of the Nicolaitans, which I also hate. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. To the one who conquers, I will grant to eat of the tree of life, which is in the paradise of God. So that would be the Ephesus thing. But here's one of the things you want to pay attention to. The whole context of this dream is really good. It's a positive thing. It's not a negative thing. So you're going to go towards the positive sides of this. So it's not saying that you have a double portion or you've gotten 2 portions of a lack of your first love and you need to go back and repent twice. But it's actually saying that you've held on. You have endured things, and the Lord is releasing impartation to you, a reward, and that the ability to eat from the tree of life, to actually partake of the substance of Jesus and the words that he speaks that are spirit and our life, that you've actually received this. It's been given to you. And in a greater measure, because you've had to hold on even more than others, but you have held on, and you have not been caught up in what others have been caught up with that was not real, but was actually fake. So that would be the piece. Now the two tennis balls. Why tennis balls? Because it's in your court now. It's now in your court. How are you going to respond to what the Lord has done? He's recognized you've received something,
Mm.
and now you've got to do something with it. So
That's a fun wordplay.
I know.
Tennis balls.
I love that.
As soon
one.
as you said,
I
I'm
love
like,
word
oh,
plays.
there that is. I'm like, tennis balls. What is going on with tennis balls? Stop playing games in church. Da, 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 da. I was trying to.
Yeah,
Well, there's that, but that wasn't the
well,
dream.
yeah. All right, you want to grab
Okay,
Claire?
so I was at church doing ministry work, and somebody named Rebecca from childhood walked up and said, I have a word for you. Jesus is bringing you a bud. Next, I was at an airport looking for my flight number. I don't know if there's a part 2 to this because this is a long one. Okay, so in the midst of what you're doing, in the midst of the faithfulness, the Lord is letting you know that he's bringing a companion. So he's bringing you a bud, which would represent a friend, that he's bringing alongside of you a friend. And once that relationship is brought alongside of you, there's this transition. So next I'm at an airport wait looking for my flight number. So you're coming into a season where the Lord is bringing you into some close relationship because it's going to precede some takeoff, if you will. So you're looking for the number. The number hasn't come up yet, but the Lord is positioning you to expect. It's not even transition. It feels like takeoff. It feels like some things are going to begin to take off in the spirit. So just watch what the Lord does in terms of who he brings alongside of you, because they will be connected to the takeoff that you're about to step into.
Yeah, that's good. All right. So, Nicole, my nephew and my daughter were lying in bed together. Nephew was injecting baby roaches in my daughter's face with a pimple extractor. I was disgusted, but he said in order to clean her, this has to happen. Was injecting baby roaches in my daughter's face with a pimple extractor. So something that's intended to pull something out, but instead it's putting something in. So well, one of the questions that I have is if your nephew represents your nephew specifically, or if your nephew represents extended family. So I'm going to leave that vague, and you'll be able to recognize the dynamic if it is one or the other, because it may be something very specific that's about his interactions, or it might be something that's that side of the family, that part of the family that is affecting things. So you've got this whole thing. So lying in bed together, so in relationship, in connection, baby roaches. So roaches are negative. They're not a positive thing. They're talking about uncleanness. They're talking about they feed on sin. They feed on issues, and it's actually putting it under the skin. So it's getting into them. It's getting under their skin, injecting in the daughter's face. But it was actually using something that was intended to pull something negative out, like a pimple extractor. It's, the oils that are supposed to just come out naturally and be removed from the body that get stuck, and then they end up getting infected. That's what a pimple is. So it was intended to bring health and healing, but it's actually injecting something that is unclean and unhealthy. And so that there's this mentality of things that maybe it is. I'll give you an example. I'm not saying this is exactly this, but here's the kind of thing that this would look like. Someone saying, well, I'm just trying to help, but what they're actually doing is criticizing instead of encouraging. Or I'm just trying to help and bringing in a negative viewpoint rather than healing a negative viewpoint. Like, this is the kind of thing. Like, the defense is, but this is what has to happen to get her better, to help her, or to help us, or to help the family. And like these kinds of things, but they're actually negative, and they're actually the fruit of garbage that has not been dealt with, not been cleaned. Cockroaches, like I said earlier, they reveal that there's an unclean environment. So that's what this is talking about. It's most likely in conversation that this is going on. But why is it the face? Because it's specifically how your daughter sees herself or how your daughter is seen. So that's why I used the first example. I'm not sure that that's exactly what it is, but that's the kind of thing. So you're more looking for the pattern than that exact thing, but that exact thing might be it, but looking for that pattern. And when you recognize that, realize it's actually not good, even though it's being defended as necessary to help. So yeah, anything you want to add to that one?
Yeah, it was an identity piece, because with the face really, and you in the dream, her discernment was on point. She was disgusted. And so there's an internal witness that the Lord's going to give you to some of these behaviors, because what's being communicated is, no, this is for her good, but you actually really know deeply in your spirit that this is actually not for her good. And while it hasn't taken root yet for her, because there was a process, it didn't say that her face was full of it. This is the Lord also giving you the invitation to cut it off at the pass before it actually affects the way she sees herself.
Yeah. So good.
That's a good dream.
Yeah. So Tommy John, you want to do this one?
This was an interesting one because I was reading this a little bit. So I had a short dream. Someone gave me some black clock sprockets in my hand. In the dream, I knew it was change coins. They were different styles and sizes and widths. Then I woke up. Well, this is kind of interesting because it's just really straightforward, right?
Yeah.
There is a change in seasons. There is a change in times going on for you, because the pieces of the clock representing time, seasons, measures of time, there is a change to the season that you're in that is in your hand. And the Lord is inviting you to recognize that there's a change of season at hand. It's literally just simple as that.
Yeah. So why were they black?
The black piece would normally be a negative. It doesn't feel like a negative.
Doesn't feel like a negative.
It just feels like some of these pieces are actually hidden from your sight right now. That's why they're black. But they will become clear once you see the change that is affected.
Yeah. That's exactly the word I got, was hidden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it didn't feel negative. I wasn't like, oh, that's bad.
Yeah.
But
and that's one of the really important things about the dream interpretation.
Yeah.
Is recognizing, okay, so black. Oh, well, maybe that's probably bad.
Yeah.
Well, but doesn't feel bad. Yeah. Paying attention to those little things as you're interpreting is really important, because it helps to dial in, because the elements of the dream get their meaning from the context of the dream. How are they being used in the dream? Well, there's nothing negative that was there. Like, these are positive things that are happening. So you don't want to give it a negative meaning in it. So you want to be careful with that. So paying attention to those little clues and avoiding interpretive legalism. I know we talk about this a lot. I mean, it's the reason why we got this book. You see it on the shelf right behind me, Dream Elements. Where we talk about different elements, but not like this always means this. Here's a way to think about it. And this is how it would change in this type of a dream. And this type of dream, it would mean something else. And this type of dream, it would mean something else. And there's different meanings based on the context, because the dream itself interprets itself. And so paying attention to those things is important in trying to figure out the meaning of the dream. Okay. So GJ, I had a dream and a friend asked me to transfer 1,400 euros to him. And this dream repeated itself again after some few days. There's a lot of ways that you could go with this, but I just, as soon as I read that, my immediate question is, does your friend actually need 1,400 euros? I wonder if this is an invitation from the Lord for you to help somebody that's in need. Now, I don't know if you have 1,400 euros that you're able to give. So, I mean, that might be a question, but I might even explore, calling up your friend and not say, hey, I had a dream, I gave you 1,400 euros. Like, don't start with that. Start with, hey, what's going on? How are things going? Like, you got any, like, how can I be praying for you? Is there any needs that you have right now? And start to find out, because this might be the Lord inviting you into something. And then you find out, yeah, I'm going through some stuff. I'm about ready to lose my flat and I'm not sure how that's going to work out. Oh, I'm going to send you a transfer because the Lord gave me a dream a couple nights ago and said that you needed 1,400 euros. And I just want you to know that the Lord's looking out for you. Like that can change somebody's life.
Yeah.
I mean, 1,400 euros, I mean, that's not going to change somebody's life. But the fact that the Lord provided it and gave it at the right time and how he did it, that might. Now, if it's not in a natural thing, it's letting you know that your friend needs favor, needs some help of some kind. So what's the spiritual currency that you have and how can you help them? 14 is 2 sevens, which is perfect. It's complete. So that could be a spiritual currency. So what spiritual currency do you have? Is it encouragement? Is it teaching? Is it service? Is it like prophetic? Is it what is it that God has put in you, and how can you transfer that to your friend to help them? Because the Lord is showing you that they do need help, and whether it's spiritual resources or it's physical resources. It feels physical to me. So I could be wrong on that, but that was my immediate sense that I got. So that's what you do with something like that. And I'm not sure. I think, well, maybe it is. Explore it. Well, that's going to make things tight for me. Okay. That actually might be a really good thing, because doing something that costs us something out of a response to the Lord, because you're doing it for the Lord, not just for your friend. Because it's not, your friend didn't come and say, I need $1,400. The Lord said 1,400 euros. So that then all of a sudden, if you do that, and that's actually what this is, and this is the Lord, even if it makes things tight for you, that sacrifice is something that the Lord will repay. Now, we can't just give money because we want to give money and expect the Lord to repay. But when we do it out of obedience and worship to him, he will never be a debtor to anyone. So we can't manipulate him with our funds, but when he's invited us to something, we never have to be concerned, because he will always make sure that we have more than enough for every good work. So just encouraging you. I think there might be a little bit more there. Do you have something?
No, I want you to hit this stream here because I got an interpretation for it. And I wanted to say hi to Ray. Ray said, it's nice to have you all on here together. Nice to see you, Ray. So Jackie, I was looking at this because you posted this a couple of times. I was looking for school supplies with my daughter, and I reached up to get a book bag. I'm just acting it out a little here, and noticed that money was in between the bags. 55 Canadian dollars. I've never been to Canada. It's cool. It's not about Canada. So as soon as I saw this, you're in a season of where your family is actually coming into a season where you're going to begin to learn some things together as a family. But there is a double portion of grace coming into your family that's going to look foreign to you, that's not normal to how you do things, that is actually part of the provision of the Lord for you guys to be established in the things that you're learning. So that's why the Canadian dollars.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, oh, I could just feel it.
I got to go after that one.
I felt it in my spirit. I'm like, oh, let me get that one, please. That was cool.
That's awesome. Well, hey, we're going to do a couple more dreams, but before we get to that, I do want to make sure that I mention something. We are getting ready to do our Streams Academy module on interpreting dreams and visions. And some of you've not gone through any of the training that we have on interpreting dreams. This is going to be really helpful. What we did is we took just the process of interpreting dreams. We put it together in an online format so that you can watch the videos at your own pace. And it starts September 1st. So there's a time. It's a 2-month module. And you start it with a group of other students that are all starting it at the same time. And you can watch the videos. And then every 2 weeks, there's an opportunity for you to get on a on a Zoom call with the other students and with one of the mentors, where you can talk about what you're learning. You can ask questions. You can engage with the material with the group of people that you're learning together with, and really grow in your understanding of how dreams operate. What's the process that we're using to be able to interpret these dreams? Because there's a gift of dream interpretation, and that comes directly from the Lord. That can come through impartation, but there's also a skill. And when you put the gift and the skill together, you're going to find yourself consistently being able to understand dreams more and more. Not that you can understand every dream. I mean, we run into dreams that we don't understand on a regular basis.
Crickets.
But we're growing in that capacity. So here's the information. Module 5. Registration is open right now. There's a QR code. If you're not on your mobile device, you can scan the QR code. If you are on your mobile device, if you just go to streamsministries.com, you'll see the tab for training, and you'll see Streams Academy right there. All the information. It will be easy for you to find. Go ahead, pull that up and get registered. We would love to have you join us and be a part of this. If you do, and you go through this, or if you have already gone through Interpreting Dreams and Visions, or you've gone through our Understanding Dreams and Visions course, in October, we have an advanced workshop of dreams and visions happening right here at the Streams offices. It's been a few years since we've done one of these live. They're where we just get together as a group. So all the students, you have to have taken the training on dream interpretation, because we're not going to be teaching the process of dream interpretation. We're going to be practicing and mentoring in the process of dream interpretation. We're just going to go through dream after dream after dream, walk through the interpretation, walk you through the dream interpretation. By the time that weekend is over, you will have had multiple of your dreams interpreted, and you will have interpreted dreams for multiple other people. It activates something. It takes the material, and so it's not just information, but it makes it very practical and helps you to do that as an activity. So I want to encourage you to sign up for the Interpreting Dreams and Visions if you haven't, but also look for, it's coming up in October. I think it's October 24th through the 26th. We're going to be doing the advanced workshop of dreams and visions. I'll be doing that. Daniel will be here with us, helping out with that. But that one is in person only. So if you're not able to get here to Texas, we've got other ways for you to grow. But that particular course, because it's all hands-on, it's very interactive. It's a lot of questions. It's a lot of discussions. It's small group activations. It's because the practical aspects of it, it just does not equate very well the way we're going to be doing it to an online class. If you want an online class of that, we actually have a recording of John Paul having done that a couple years before he passed away. And he does a lot more teaching in it. And so that you're able to get a lot more content, which is a little bit more helpful for an online course versus the interactive piece that we're going to be doing in person. So that is available if you're interested. But let's jump into a couple dreams.
Oh,
Samuel A. I dreamt I was on a spacious airplane seated near the middle as it took off from a busy city without a traditional runway. I marveled at the pilot's skill as we lifted off smoothly over the city. Now, you said it's really good. You want to jump?
It's an interesting picture, right? So you are in the middle of this transition, this coming up higher in the things of the spirit from it's not from a traditional takeoff point. So my feeling is that you are not necessarily in traditional ministry per se, but you're in the middle of an unconventional season where the Lord is actually bringing you into a place of elevation higher up to the things of the spirit. But it feels like this pilot is representative of someone in your world that's actually going to impart to you skill to replicate what you experience by being with them, so that you can be invited and to replicate it for others. So there's just, It's a non-traditional takeoff point. That's what I love that language. That was the first thing that I saw.
Mm.
It's in the middle of a busy city. I would be really curious as to figure out whether you are in marketplace ministry, because it feels like there is something about the city that is really quite personal, to the point that you're in the season that you're in. So just enjoy the takeoff. The Lord's about to do something. He's about to show you some things that are connected to skills, but also that are connected to the circumstances you're in right now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Okay. David, just do it, man. Like we'll hang out. We'll have some good coffee. I'll introduce you to some great Texas barbecue. If you come in for class, make sure you come in a little bit early or stay a little bit late. Contact me, let me know. I would love to have a conversation, just hear how your life is going and what's happening. So if it ends up happening, make sure to let me know, because it's been a while since we've hung out, and I'd love to hear what's been going on in your life. Okay. Janine, I had a dream. I was at a place that was packed, perhaps a church. A man was on stage, and he was like drawn to me in the crowd. He said he wanted me in the view of all to see. It's recurring 3 times now. Basically, Janine, this is saying that the Lord is highlighting you, and there is favor on your life right now. That he's going to be highlighting you to people in places of influence, and they're going to use their influence to give you visibility. So don't be afraid of those opportunities, though, that when they come, don't shrink back from those opportunities, because this has happened 3 times now. It's something that is confirmed. Like this is what the Lord is doing. This is the season that you're in. So yeah, press in, because it's a great season for you. Now, you said perhaps at a church. It's possible that this is talking about something that is a spiritual favor, but it's also possible that it's not only spiritual favor. So I don't want to hold that to that, because you said maybe a church. You didn't say for sure it was a church. And so you don't want to make too much of that without the clarity.
Yeah.
So Elizabeth, you want to grab Elizabeth?
Yeah, I was suddenly at my home church where I was shown 3 women I know. Then I saw myself praying for the first 2 women for healing. The third woman was not present, and I couldn't remember her. It's interesting that there's this suddenly language. That's the first piece that kind of stands out, that there's a suddenly that's about to appear in your world that is connected to prayer, but it's connected to, I mean, for me, the women, you knew the first 2 women, so all 3 women that you knew. So there's something on the fact that the third woman was not there. There's a release of healing. There's a release of grace that is come into some level of effectiveness, some level of release, but it's not yet the fullness of what you're stepping into the suddenly for. The third woman wasn't there. So there's still a piece to come into this suddenly that you've been released to, but there's something very much about that you should proceed with, I mean, in the dream, do what's in front of you to do. There's going to be effectiveness in it, but know that there's some more pieces to come that are going to be connected to your obedience in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, the reason it's healing is because you do have a healing gift.
Yeah.
There's things that you're going to be able to heal in other people. And that's one of the things that the Lord is highlighting in this season. And sometimes you think of yourself as one that needs healing, but you actually have healing to offer. So, yeah.
That's cool.
That's cool. That's really cool. So Eve, I think this is going to be our final dream for this afternoon. I have repeated dreams of drawing water from a well. Sometimes I'm drawing the water for others. Most times the well is deep, but full of water. So the idea of a well full of water, it being able to refresh others, being able to bring a drink to other people. This is actually a spiritual well. You have a spiritual well that you can draw from, and it has refreshed you, but it's also refreshing others. But that well is there's a depth to your spirituality, and it's actually full of the Spirit, full of water. So it's a deep thing. And sometimes you actually have to work at pulling those things out, because a deep well, you've got to let the bucket down there quite a bit to get the water out. So that even if there's work, just that reality of there is a well that you have been given, that you have, that refreshes you and refreshes others.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just it's sometimes we will draw from the well from others all the time, but there was just that piece of it's not always for others. There are things that the Lord's going to give you in this season that are in your innermost being that are just for you. I think of that proverb where it says, drink water from your own cistern. Do not let your water spill out into the streets. There is something connected to that principle where you need to make sure that you yourself are refreshed before you become a refresher of others.
Yeah, so cool. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Just reminding you again about the giveaway, Discerning and Responding to Prophecies. That book we're doing pre-sales right now. It's going to be out on Monday. We're shipping all the pre-sales on Monday. You can order it on Monday. Make sure that you take a look at that. Get a copy for yourself. Get a copy from your friends. This is going to be really helpful for people that have been confused or hurt by misunderstood prophetic words. And I really, really believe that this is going to be a blessing to a lot of people. And so I want to get it out as wide as we can to as many people as we can. So help get the word out. Maybe even get a copy for your pastor and offer it to your pastor or leader that as a suggestion, because it has some very practical pastoral help on how to pastor the prophetic and how to deal with some of the dynamics that can make it difficult or even painful when they're misunderstood. So take a look at that and join in on the giveaway if you're interested in that. That is available. Bless you guys. Have an astounding day. We'll see you next month for live dream interpretation, but here in a couple of weeks, Sherry's going to be back to be praying for any of your prayer requests. So in a couple of weeks, make sure you check out the Live at 5. If you need prayer for anything, join in. If you just want to join your prayer with our prayers for the people that come, we would love to have you. Until then, bless you guys. Have a great day.